Captain Nathan Reynolds was known as one of the most respected airline pilots in the United States. For over a decade, he had flown across continents, commanding large aircraft with precision and calm. Passengers admired his professionalism, and colleagues respected his discipline. At 38, Nathan seemed to have it all: a stable career, a luxurious apartment in downtown Chicago, and the admiration of friends and family. But beneath the polished exterior was a man living a double life. While Nathan appeared devoted to his career and personal life, he had secretly been involved in an affair that could destroy everything he had built. The woman, Vanessa Monroe, was a glamorous art gallery owner he met during a layover in New York. Their encounters were passionate, illicit, and dangerous. But Nathan convinced himself he could keep it under control. Their relationship escalated quickly. Private dinners turned into weekend getaways in secluded resorts, and Nathan found himself unable to resist the thrill. Yet the affair was more than just temptation. It was a ticking time bomb. Vanessa had a volatile personality, and Nathan's careful world of rules and schedules clashed with her impulsiveness. One evening, after a late-night flight, Nathan returned to his apartment to find a message that made his heart pound. "We need to talk. Tonight, don't ignore me." He knew that Vanessa was unpredictable, and ignoring her could provoke consequences he wasn't prepared to face. Yet, he also feared what the conversation might reveal. As he prepared to meet her in a dimly lit cafe in downtown Chicago, he couldn't shake a creeping sense of dread. When Vanessa appeared, she was wearing a sharp red dress, her eyes flashing with both anger and desire. "Nathan, we need to decide where this is going," she said, her voice low and urgent. "You can't keep flying away from this. You're either with me or not." Nathan's mind raced. He realized that what had started as a secret thrill was now spiraling out of control. The life he had carefully built, the reputation he had earned, and the family he loved, all were at risk if this affair continued unchecked. As the city lights reflected in Vanessa's eyes, Nathan knew one thing for certain: tonight would change everything. The path ahead was dangerous, unpredictable, and potentially deadly. The weeks following that tense cafe meeting were a dangerous blur for Nathan. Despite the warning in Vanessa's eyes, he couldn't resist the pull of the affair. Every layover, every long flight became an excuse to see her, to feel the intoxicating mix of desire and danger. Vanessa had a way of making him feel alive in ways no one else could. She challenged him, teased him, and made him forget, even for a moment, the strict schedules, the endless responsibilities of being a top airline captain. But Nathan couldn't ignore the growing unease gnawing at him. He was living on borrowed time. One Friday night, Vanessa insisted on meeting at a luxury penthouse she had rented in downtown Manhattan. "Nathan," she said, voice trembling slightly, "I can't keep sharing you with the world. I want more, much more than the secret, stolen life. Do you love me enough to choose me?" Nathan hesitated. Part of him longed to give in entirely, to step off the line he had walked so carefully all his life. But another part knew the consequences of crossing that line. Leaving his job, his reputation, his family, even temporarily, was unthinkable. Yet the fire in Vanessa's gaze made his logic falter. As they argued, tensions flared, words became sharp, accusations came, and Nathan realized for the first time just how volatile Vanessa truly was. Her charm masked a dangerous obsession, one that could destroy him if mishandled. Later that night, Nathan returned to Chicago, exhausted and on edge. Sleep eluded him as his mind replayed Vanessa's words, the intensity of her gaze, and the dangerous promise lurking behind her passion. The next day, he arrived at the airport for a long-haul flight, trying to focus on pre-flight procedures. Yet, as he checked the controls, his phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa read, "We need to settle this tonight. Don't disappoint me." Nathan's chest tightened. He knew that meeting her again could push everything too far, but ignoring her might provoke her wrath. His double life was no longer a thrill. It was a ticking time bomb. By the time he landed in New York that evening, Nathan realized that the affair had become more than a secret indulgence. It had grown into a dangerous obsession, one that could unravel everything he had worked for. And as he stepped out into the city night, he had no idea just how deadly the consequences would soon become. Nathan Reynolds couldn't shake the gnawing sense of dread as he walked into Vanessa's penthouse that night. The luxurious apartment, usually a place of thrill and passion, felt tense, almost suffocating. Vanessa stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, her silhouette framed by the city lights. She turned slowly, her eyes flashing with something dangerous. Anger mixed with desire. "You're late," she said, voice sharp. "Do you even care about us, Nathan? Or is this just another flight for you?" Nathan swallowed, trying to maintain calm. "I care, Vanessa. But you're asking me to risk everything I've built. My career, my family, my reputation. You have to understand that her laugh was bitter, low, and unsettling. Everything? Or just what you're willing to lose? You want passion without consequences, Nathan. You can't have both." The argument escalated quickly, the air thick with tension. Words became sharper, accusations flew, and Nathan realized how volatile Vanessa had become. Her charm had always masked a possessive, obsessive side, but now it was impossible to ignore. She wanted control, and he was dangerously close to losing it. As the night went on, Nathan tried to leave, but Vanessa blocked the door. "You can't walk away from me," she said, her voice trembling between anger and desperation. "If you try, you'll regret it." Nathan's heart raced. He knew the situation had spiraled out of control. His secret life, once thrilling, had now become a dangerous game he could no longer manipulate. He had underestimated Vanessa's intensity, and the consequences were mounting. Later, as he drove through the quiet streets of Manhattan, Nathan's mind raced. What had started as a passionate affair was now a storm he couldn't escape. Each text, each meeting, each touch had brought him closer to a cliff he couldn't see the bottom of. And then came the final message. "Meet me tonight. We need to end this, one way or another." The words were simple, but Nathan felt the weight behind them. Vanessa wasn't playing anymore. The thrill, the passion, and the secrecy had evolved into obsession, and Nathan feared that stepping away could ignite something irreversible. As he parked near the penthouse, a cold shiver ran down his spine. This night wouldn't just end their affair. It could end his life. The dangerous game had begun, and Nathan Reynolds was about to learn that some secrets are far deadlier than anyone could imagine. Nathan's hands trembled as he stepped into Vanessa's penthouse for the final meeting. The air was thick with tension, and the soft hum of the city outside did nothing to calm the storm brewing inside. Vanessa stood by the window, arms crossed, her expression unreadable yet terrifyingly intense. "Sit down, Nathan," she said, her voice low and controlled. "We need to settle this once and for all." He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Vanessa, this has gone too far. We need to end this now before someone gets hurt." Her eyes narrowed, the warmth of their past passion replaced by a cold, obsessive intensity. "End it?" she repeated. "You think it's that simple? You can't just walk away after everything we've shared. I won't let you ruin us, or me." Nathan realized, with a sinking feeling, that Vanessa's obsession had reached a dangerous point. The woman he had once loved passionately was now unpredictable, and every instinct in his body screamed that he was in real danger. Suddenly, she lunged toward him, grabbing a small but sharp letter opener from the desk. Panic surged through Nathan as he instinctively dodged, knocking over a vase that shattered on the floor. Adrenaline pumped through his veins. He had to think fast. "What are you doing, Vanessa?" he shouted, backing away toward the door. "You can't leave," she screamed, tears mixing with fury. "You're mine." The struggle escalated quickly, a chaotic blur of movement and fear. Nathan tried to calm her, his voice urgent but pleading. "Stop. This isn't love. It's destruction." But Vanessa's obsession had consumed her completely. In the scuffle, the letter opener slipped, and the fatal moment happened. An accident, sudden and irreversible. Nathan froze, horror-stricken, as he realized what had occurred. The room fell silent except for their ragged breathing and the distant hum of city life outside. Nathan's mind raced, trying to comprehend what had just happened. The secret affair, the passion, the thrill. It had all ended in tragedy. He sank to the floor, hands shaking, staring at the aftermath. The life he had carefully built, the career, the respect, the family, was now in jeopardy. And deep down, Nathan knew there was no way to undo this night. What had begun as a passionate secret had become a deadly nightmare. And Nathan Reynolds was left to face the consequences of a love turned lethal. The next morning, Nathan Reynolds sat in his sleek apartment, staring blankly at the city skyline. The events of the previous night replayed in his mind, a horrifying loop of panic, violence, and shock. Vanessa was gone, but her presence lingered, an inescapable reminder of the danger he had narrowly survived. Police sirens cut through the silence, and within hours, law enforcement arrived at the scene. Nathan had called them himself, hands shaking as he explained the events. The confrontation, the struggle, and the accident. Every word felt heavy, weighed down by guilt and fear. He knew that despite the truth, suspicion would follow him. Detectives questioned him for hours, and Nathan relived every detail, carefully describing how it had been an unintentional tragedy. Yet he could see the skepticism in their eyes. A respected airline pilot, involved in a secret affair ending in murder. It sounded almost scripted, the kind of story people only read about in newspapers. News outlets soon picked up the case, sensationalizing every detail. Headlines screamed about the pilot, the affair, and the deadly encounter. Nathan felt the world closing in, the scrutiny unbearable. His career, once untouchable, was now on the line, and the life he had meticulously built was unraveling before him. Despite the chaos, one thing became clear. The affair had exposed a dangerous side of human desire. Passion, secrecy, and obsession had collided with fatal consequences. Nathan was forced to confront not just the legal ramifications, but the emotional toll, the guilt, the fear, and the realization that some choices could never be undone. Weeks later, the investigation concluded. Vanessa's death had been ruled accidental, a tragic result of the struggle. Nathan was cleared of intentional wrongdoing, but the shadow of that night never left him. He resigned from his airline, seeking solace and anonymity, trying to reconcile with the man he had become. Sitting quietly in a small coastal town, Nathan reflected on his life. The affair had begun as an intoxicating thrill, but it had ended in tragedy. He realized that passion without boundaries, secrecy without honesty, and obsession without control could destroy even the most disciplined life. Nathan vowed to rebuild, not his career or reputation alone, but his understanding of love, desire, and responsibility. He knew he would carry the weight of that night forever. But perhaps, in time, he could find redemption and peace. The respected airline pilot was no longer just admired for his skill in the skies. He was now a man scarred by a deadly secret, haunted by a love that had cost too much, and changed forever by a night he would never forget. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned, because more amazing stories are on the way.